Hello friends, welcome back to Netcode-Hub channel. In this video, it is actually going to be a build-up. I had a message upon one of the videos that I made. That is a configuring role-based authentication and authorization in Blazor WebAssembly. Now, I had a message suggesting that maybe I can have a video whereby a user can click to assign role. Instead of all the time registering, here you can just click to select role, save it, and the role is going to take effect. So I decided to do this short video to suit that request. Okay, so actually this video, it is a build up. You have to know the basics, that is how to create authentication in Blazor WebAssembly, how to also configure the role base, or how do you assign roles to a user. Now if you don't know how to create this, I have this video in this playlist, so I'm going to add the link under the description below, so you can just watch the authentication, then you watch the authorization, then you can proceed to watch this click to add role. Let's go through and see. Now I have this database. Now this database, if I go to the ASP.NET users, that is what I have. Now because I have this username as their email, and that is the email here. So if you check, you can see I have this email, admin at admin, you have user at user, and admin1 at admin. Now these are the various IDs. So there is an ID, and that is the ID, and this is also the ID. Okay, so admin is the last ID number here is 1F, user it is 7B, and admin1 is 40. Let's go through the user. So ASP user roles. Now, but before that, let's go to the ASP.NET roles. Now these are the roles, because you have manager, user, and admin. These are the roles. Okay, so a user can be a manager, can be a user, and also can be an admin. Now when you come to the roles section, if I refresh this, you can see I have the 40 here, that is the admin1. Now here it is B7, so that's the row ID, B7. Now if you check the row ID, so the rows are here, B7 is over here, B7, and that is the manager. So here, if we check this 40, that is when you go to the users, you can see 40 is an admin. So this admin1 here, it is a manager. I can change this admin1 to user. Now the user code is what? Let's see the user code. Now the user ID, as you can see from here, it is 4C. So let's change the admin. So admin1, now I'm changing from user, I'm changing it to maybe admin. Okay, I can change it to manager. Now if I click on submit, role successfully assigned. Now when we go back, defaultly now admin is 7E. Let's go to the rows. So default row that it has was 40, and here it is B7, row ID B7. Now if I refresh this, you can see here is B7. Now let's refresh and see. So I have a row, refresh this. So let's see 40 here, it is B7. Now 7B, that's the user ID. So user ID of 40, it is B7, that's the row ID. Now row ID of B7 is, so refresh this, row ID of B7 is manager. Okay, so row ID of B7 is manager. And let's say for the 40, when you go to the user, 40 is admin. Okay, now we have this. Let's try it again and see. So here I want to change this to admin. Now let's click on save. So row successfully assigned. Now let's see what happens here. Now remember that the admin1 here, it is 40, that's an ID. If I refresh this, it still remain 40. Let's go to the rows. Now default this, so this is what we are talking about, 40, that's the user ID. Now row ID is B7, and that is the manager. Now 7E, it is an admin. Let's refresh and see 40. So watch here with this 40. Let's see what happens here. So if I refresh this, you can see it has now changed 40 to 7E. There's a 40, it has changed 7E. Now if I go to the user roles, 7E is an admin. Let's see. Now let me log out. So if I log out here and I log in, so there's an admin 1, there's an admin now, and I pass in the password, so admin 1 at 123. If I log in, you can see we have welcome admin. Let me log out. Now let me log in the user. So this is user, and the password is user at 123. Now here it is what? Welcome user. Now you can see here we have update profile. And now let's see, let's log out, and now let's go to the admin. So there's an admin, and the password is admin at 123. You can see there's also admin. Now let's change the user to admin also. So I'm going to change this is a user. Let me change the role to admin. Save role assigned. Let me log out. Now user, and now password. So user at 123. Now you can see you have welcome admin. So now user can manage users. You can see this over here. The user can do that. Let's change the admin to user. So there's an admin. Now let's change to user. Assign roles. Now let's log out. Let's log in the admin and see. So there's an admin, but let's see. So we have admin at 123. Now you can see we have welcome user. So with just a button click, you can able to perform these operations. You don't need to register anymore. The user has now registered, and what you need to do here is to get the roles attached to the user when registering. Now as soon as you get the roles, we delete or remove all the roles, then we assign the current roles that you want to. Now you see user can update profile, and let's see what we can do. Let's assign another one. So let's log out here. Let's log user as an admin. So there is an admin now. Let's assign this. So manage user. Let's assign admin 1 as a manager. So assign it as a manager. Now save this. Let's log this out. Log in here, and there's an admin 1 and admin at 123. So there is a manager now. So watch here. So welcome manager. Manager can report a user. Admin can add or can assign roles. And when you talk about the user can update information. Okay, so with this, as soon as you have the roles, we take off the default roles assigned to when registering. Then we replace the current role that has been selected over here to the user role. And that's a very simple thing that we do. Okay, so let's see. Now you can see if I come to, not here, it's a user. So let me change this. So log out, and that is an admin 1, and let's set here. Okay, so if we check here, you can see we don't have, there's no admin for now because there is a manager. Manager can report a user. Now let's see. So user at 123. Now okay, so there's an admin now. Now let's change the admin as an admin. So change this admin to admin, and I'll change this user to user. And now let's change this admin 1 to manager. Okay, now if I log out, now I'm logging as an admin. So let's see. So admin at 123. Now you can see welcome admin. Let's log out. Log in as user and user, and that is welcome user. Let's log out and log in as manager. So admin 1 at manager, and you see that is manager. Okay, so it is quite simple thing that we did, and that's what we are going to do in this video. So if you check here, manage users, you see we have, that is the current users that we have in the application. So we choose any user here, then that is the role. So these are the current roles that we have. So we can assign these roles to user, and also we can assign this admin. So we can assign these roles to this admin, and that is a simple thing that we are doing over here. Okay, so this is quite simple. Now let's start and see what we can do. So let me increase this. So as you can see, we have these are the rows, and these are the current user that we have now. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to open the default, that's the old projects, and we start from there. You can see, as I said earlier on, that this video is a build up. So we are building a block to what we've done already. And if you don't know how to create an authentication and authorization in Blazor WebAssembly, I have a video link in the description. Please do watch those videos in order not to get yourself confused, okay? Because this is very simple when you have the basic in authentication and authorization. Okay, so I'm going to discard this project, and I'm going to open the default one that you're going to use. And remember that you're going to install some packages by Syncfusion, and that's what we're going to use for this drop down. Okay, and that's the only thing that we're going to do. We're going to use in as a package, as a NuGet package. Okay, so I'm going to close this. I have this closed, and here, if I open here, alright guys, so I just closed the old project and I've opened the new one. Okay, that is a Blazor WebAssembly, and this is authentication and authorization. So configuring role base. If you check the video in the description, I have that video link there, so you can just watch that video, and you're going to get up to this endpoint, then continue on from this endpoint. So if you haven't watched that, pause the video now. Now check the description, click on that video, watch it up, then come back here and continue on. Okay, so let's see. Now I'm going to run this project for you to see the default startup. It is building, so we wait. Alright, so the application is now ready now, and as soon as it opens, it is automatically logged in. Okay, so I'm going to just log out. Okay, so you can see I have home, welcome, and you can see I have JWT demo. Yeah, I can just click on this button to move on. If I decide to log in, let's see. Now I'm logging in here, admin, and admin at 123. Now just log in here. Now if I click on login, let's see what happens. Okay, so I am logging now. Now you can see I am logging, right? But if you check here, manage user, instead of clicking on manage user to get the list or the page to assign roles, you see here we have weather forecast, right? Yeah, so this means that there's a new one, but you're an admin. Okay, so but this is just the build up from the configuring role base, authentication, and authorization Blazor WebAssembly. This is what we're going to do first. So I want us to delete our database, so we start afresh. Okay, so when you click on SQL Server Object Explorer database folder, and I can see JWT demo release, or that's a role base. How did I able to figure it out, the database name? Now if I go to Solution Explorer, now in the server project, you can see we have an app setting.json. Click on it to open, and you can see we have database name configured, and that is it, JWT demo role base. So I'm going to delete that. So as you watch, right click here, and I am deleting it. So close existing connections, click on OK. Now we wait for it to be deleted. Yeah, so it is done now. Now let's try to log in again and see what happens. So I'm going to log in. So refresh this first and log out. So log in, and let's see. So I'm going to log in here as so admin at 123. Now if I decide to log in, see what happened. I have an error here. What is the error saying? Let's go there and check with pressing the F12 to go to developer 2. Now the console, it is saying that there's an invalid start of a value because there's no service or there's no server to handle this request, or there's no database to serve the purpose. Okay, so we have nothing now. Okay, But if you check the source code already, we have implemented that in some previous videos. So all these, by creating GetRoles security key and the issuer audience and the expiry date, all these were done in that video. So I highly recommend it to watch if you haven't done so. Now let's see. So I'm going to close this up. And the first thing that you want to do here is Logo Solution Explorer. And here you want to add some let's add rows. Yeah, so we go to server projects and data folder. You see we have application DB contest. Now when you come here, you see we have a default 2 rows. Let's add one more, so I have to just copy this. Let's paste this, and we can even add one more. This manager, and the normalized name is manager. This is super user. Let's say this is super user, and that is here super user. So super user has extra features more than the normal user. So we have normal user, we have super user, and we have manager, and the greatest of all is the administrator. Okay, so administrator can have access to, can update everything, can set, can add user, can delete user, can set rows, can remove rows as well. Okay, now we have the super user, we have manager, admin, and user. That's okay, but you can add more. Let's save this. Let's go to Solution Explorer. Now the same data folder, because we have migration folder here. Let's delete the folders because we are now going to apply new migration. So let's delete this migration folder that existed from the previous project. Yeah, so that is it. Delete. Yes, I'll delete it. Then yeah, it is gone. Then the next one is also deleted. Yeah. So we are now going to perform that migration. So let's save this. First of all, let's build the project. So right click on the solution, click on build solution to check if there's any error in it. Then we try to fix this up. Alright, so succeeded, nothing happens. Now let's go to package manager console and CLS. I want to clear screen first and add dash migration. I want that shortest one. Whoa, it's supposed to be add dash migration. The name is initials, and here it is an output. I want to put it in the data called, or in a folder called data. Open it and I'll set a new folder called migrations. Yeah, so let's see. Now build succeeded, so we wait for this to be done. It's going to perform that database migration. After that we have to update it. Yes, of course, it is done now. So update database. Let's update it. So this is going to run the queries for us to generate all the tables and the database and everything that we need to do by passing in the default values that we set in the AppDB contest. Yeah, so it is running. Let's wait. That's right. So it is done. You can clear screen as well. Now let's close this. So when we go to SQL, we can also close this as well. When we go to SQL Server Object Explorer, if you don't know where this is, go to Tools. No, go to View, sorry, and you can see it's over here, SQL, that's it. So click on that to open. And we have the server here, so I'm going to open the last one, open database folder, and it's over here. So JWT demo role based. Open this. Now you have opened the tables, and the tables that I'm going to need here is an ASP.NET role. So I'm going to open this, view this data. Also, I need ASP.NET users, open this data. And the last one that I need here is ASP.NET rows. So open this data. So these rows, you see we have user ID and row ID. So we have user, that is the user, and that is the rows. So how many rows that we have here? You can see we have admin, user, manager, and super user. And that is the name of it. So these are the normalized ones in capital letters, and these are the normal ones. That's the proper ones. Okay. Now you can see we have, these are the IDs. So if I create any user and assign an ID to, it's going to use this ID here. It's going to grab this ID and grab the user ID. So that's the user ID going to be here and set them here. So you can see user ID is going to be this ID, while the row ID is going to be this ID. Okay, so if you want to fetch this, this is a junction table, and this junction table here refer to the mother table. Okay, so that's a relationship. All right, and if you don't know what relationship is, I also have a video under the description, check below, and that is the EF core relationship. So the 3 types of relationship that we can have access to in Entity Framework core, especially to Blazor WebAssembly: one-to-one, one-to-many, or many-to-one, and we have many-to-many. I have explained them with the examples, and you're going to understand it clearly as well. So please can check that video if you don't know what a relationship and how to implement all this relationship in a database, not database, Blazor WebAssembly application. Okay, now we have this set. You can see our application here has no user created or joined. So, but what we want to do first here is let's go to the nav bar. We want to set here to get it. As soon as I log in as an administrator, I want to see welcome admin. If I'm a user, welcome user, super user, welcome super user. If I am the other one as a manager, welcome manager. So let's go to pages under client projects. Open it. Now you can see we have shared. Have you seen yours? So Nav-Menu, click on that. Now if you check here, you can see we have this JW2 demo. I'm going to just grab this. Okay. Now here, I'm going to set this as welcome. That's all. Now with this welcome, let's open this. And here, let's use an authorized view. So I'm going to say authorized view. Now with this authorized view, I can set roles here. So this roles, first one is an admin, so that is a role. Now if this is checked, or if this meets the requirement, I want to say welcome admin. Very simple. I'm going to copy this, then let's paste it 3 times more. Okay, so we have admin, we have manager, we have super user, so that's super user, and so let's bring this down to super user, and we have normal user. Okay, so when we load this, we're going to see only this welcome admin, manager, super user, user are going to be hidden because we haven't authenticated yet. Now let's see. So yeah, it is reloading. Now you can see we have only welcome. Okay, what is the next thing to do? So whilst we have this, the next thing that we can do here is we can go in for the registration, okay, to create the user. Now to create user, you can see we have to navigate to this side, and that is the server. Let's go to the controller, and inside the controller here we have register controller. That is where we want to work with. So with this register controller, this is to register. Okay, now here we assign roles to user, and now here we assign roles to what? To admin. Now what you are doing here is we first checked up. Now if you check, you can see we have add roles where we are adding a new user, and we check if that email coming in here starts with admin, you want to add admin as well. But I want to make a slight change here. How are you going to do it? So this is how you want to make it. Now you can see that with administrator, only one person can be administrator for a website or application. That is when registering. Now in registration, there might be only one administrator, but administrator can assign multiple administrators as soon as or after registration, like what we did earlier on. Okay, so in order to prevent multiple administrators, we have to set up a that is a if statement to check. We have to check to see if admin it is registered already. If it is, then we can skip it, but if it's not, then we have to register an admin for the first registration. So when we have here, let's forget about this first, so we can comment this. Now we are saying if the new user here, the email coming in contains or starts with admin. So the first thing that we are doing here is, as you can see, as soon as we get the model, we create a new user here as an identity user. We set username to email and the email to email. Now we create the username here. So we create async. we pass in the username and what? The password. Now when it comes to here, we are saying that if it succeeded, we want to move on here. So if it succeeds, we want to check if the email starts with admin, then we are going to create an admin. If it starts with no admin, then it's going to be a user. But in case it starts with admin, we want to check, do we have any administrator registered already? You get the idea, right? So let's see. Now this is what we're going to do first. So let's say var user is equal to, let's use an await. Now here, one thing that we need to do here, we have to include SignInManager. Okay, so SignInManager, and this SignInManager is going to be an identity user. So SignInManager, and that's going to be an identity user. So you have to pass in an identity user. Then this is going to be SignInManager control period. Then create an assigned field. Create an assigned field. So we have now injected and initialized it, so we can use the SignInManager. Now when it comes here, so we are saying that SignInManager dot UserManager. So dot. Now we want to check. We want to find the email if it's contained, or if the email is already registered. Okay, so that is what we want to use or do it. Now we use .users. You can have users here, so we can use where. So this where x lambda x dot, and we want to use only email. So email dot contains. So you want to check if any email found within the user manager contains the keyword as admin. Okay, so we can just use email dot to lower. Maybe it could be that the email must be in uppercase. We are converting it to lower. Then we check if it contains the keyword as admin. Then we get it to a list. Let's get a whole list. Get them as a list. Let's check now. So we pass in this exclamation mark, and that's how we move on. All right. So this is what we're going to do. So we're going to say that if user coming in, which is a list dot count, is greater than 1. So meaning we are skipping the first user. If the first person register as user, nothing happen. As administrator, nothing happen. But if the second person tries to register, then I'm going to check if that ID or the name greater than 1, the result greater than 1, and that is yes, it's going to skip that. Okay, so we are skipping the first the register. Okay, so we are saying if count is greater than 1, then that is what you want to do. You want to create at user. So let's grab this, and now let's paste it here. So we create a person as user. Then, aside from creating this, we can return this OK. So return success OK. That is when the person has been, when administrator has been registered already. But if not, then we register admin and return OK. And in case the username here does not start with also an admin, then we're going to register the person as what? As user. This is very simple thing that we want to do. Now the reason why it can't skip here is because we have a return. So when execute the first one, it returns and it skips the rest. Yeah. So first thing, it checks if it doesn't start with admin, then assign it as a user. If it starts with admin, then go there and check, do you have any email that starts with admin? If yes, then check how many. Is it 1? Then skip it. But if it's not 1, then lesser than 1, that is 0, then add it. So this code is going to allow user to register administrator as once, and that's all. No one can register again when the name as admin. Okay, so and you must possess the name admin before you can be administrator. Okay, all right. So now we have this. Let's see. Let's try to register and see. So we go to our page. So let's see, we go here. and that's our page. So let's try to register and see what happens here. So we are going to register 3 accounts: administrator, no, is it 4? Yeah, administrator, manager, super user, and user account. So let's start. So the first one here is admin. So we have admin at admin. The password is admin at 123. The same thing here, admin at 123. Now registering admin. Okay, so let's see. We are done with the admin. Now let's check the table and see with ASP.NET users. Let's refresh and see. Alright, so you see we have the admin here. Now when we check the roles, admin has been associated to the row ID of 26. Let's see the row ID, the row. So we have this, the rows. Now we are going for row ID that ends with 26. So 26, and that's administrator, as you can see from here. Good. Now let's move on. Let's create account for so manager. Let's make it as manager, and that's gonna be manager at manager.com, and the password is manager at 123, manager at 123. So it's also done. Let's register for super user. So super user at superuser.com, and you have super user at 123, super user at 123. The password did not match. Let's see. At 123. Okay, so now the last one is user. So we go for user, and user at 123, user at 123. Submit. Okay, so when we check the table with ASP.NET users, you could see that we have all the logins here. So these are the registration details from manager, admin, user, and super user, right? And also when you check the rows, you can also see we have the rows associated with them. So we see only one here, that is administrator, that is 26. The rest ends with D. Let's see. When we go to the rows, when we check the rows over here, you could see that from here we have 26 is the admin, the rest is the user, right? So manager and super user, we couldn't register. Now although we have account, we use an account manager, super user, and user, but aside from registering for the administrator, the rest are going to be used by assigned to the user. Now with manager and super user, you're going to be assigned by the administrator. So this, nobody can just sit down and set it like that unless the administrator can do it. Okay, so that is it. Now let's try to register admin and see what happens. Now we've registered admin already, so let's see. If I decide to register the same admin and I change the password, maybe I have this. I'm changing the password now. Now if I try to register this, okay, so this is gone. Okay, now this is gone. Let's see. So if we refresh this, although it is admin, but let's see what's going to happen. So this is admin. Let's search here. We have user, and okay, so you can see we have manager, admin, user, and super user. Right. So let's see what happens here. Oh, okay. So it seems that it didn't come. So we have admin. Let's see. So hit on the submit. Okay, so we have navigated to the login. Now let's see. Still. So let's check here and see if we can return an error to this. So what we're going to do first here is we go back to the login page or the registration page here. Now let's see what we can do. So let's go to Solution Explorer. Now in here, let's see, with the pages we have register. Now with this register, all these errors, I want us to and set this as message. Okay, so this message, let's bring it here and let's make this as message while this remains as string, and let's show message is equal to results.to string. Let's see if possible. So we convert the error to toString. Okay. Now let's go to the controller. Now inside this controller, you could say we have error here. Now you can see from here that we first check if it contains this admin. So if it contains and the count is greater than 1, then we add it to what? We add it by adding role. But we have to check if the user is already created or if the email is already created. So how can we do that? We can do it from getting it from this. So let's use, we can actually grab all these. So let's cut this. Then here we can say that if await, let's first create a variable to get it first. So we say var user is equal to await underscore UserManager dot. Okay, so with UserManager we can find or we can use get email. So dot find email async. So here I want to find email. Okay, so we're going to provide with this new user dot email. So here we are finding the email from the registration table. With the email, we want to check if this user, so let's see, if this user is not equal to now, if this user is found, what do you want to do? Okay, so if it's not equal to null, then we want to return this. So in such case, let's return, let's paste this here, that is an else, and here if this is not equal to null, then we want to return error. So let's copy this and now let's paste this here. So Control K and D. Now this is going to be a bad request. So return bad request. Now here it is message, and let's set this message to, so error occurred. Okay, so I want to display only error occurred. That is when user is found already. So if user is found already, return this. But if not, then move on, continue on. Okay, so here we have user here already. So we can use check X. So check existent. You can copy this and here let's paste this here. Okay, so with this message, let's copy this message. Now where you need to return, so let's go to the results, and that's going to be the models. So you see we have with the model shared project, open the models folder. Now you have results, so that is where we need to work with. So with the registration, we have message here. We go back to the models, register results, and instead of this we change this to string, and here gonna be message. Very simple. Okay, so once we change this, let's go to the service or the auth service. Now let's see if we can have, so all this, let's clear this off. Okay, now let's use var response is equal to await, and we need to use results. We need to read the content. So let's read content dot read as. Is it read, not read as, but rather read from JSON async. And here we need to get it as a register result, because that's what you want to read from. Then this, and at the end of the day, let's return the response. Very simple thing that you want to do. Okay, so return this response. We save that. So let's see, let's build the application again. Maybe we may have some few errors. Then we let's clean first, then we try to correct them and we move on. So when the user is registered and you try to re-register again, you're going to have an error with it, and that is a good thing the application must do. You must check. So you can't use one account to register multiple. No, it's impossible. Okay, so you can see it's field. Now warning, converting lateral. So let's see, this is the first one, and this can be found register, so error cannot be found here. So here is supposed to be message, so we can just decide to take off this. Also, register results does not contain definition for errors. Alright, so we save that. The next one is configuration and could not be found. Okay, let's try again and see. Let me save all. Now let's clean solution. Let's build solution. So you have an error here, converting null literal. Okay, so can we set this as nullable? So expecting okay, so create an account. Now this account controller, we don't need account because we have this already, so we can decide to clear this off. Yeah, let's, of course we have it as a duplicated and we want to clear all duplicated one, so build solution again. Okay, so this does not contain in the controller, so there's a controller here, and this message is equal to errors.toString. Okay, now let's see if possible we can review solution and see. Alright, so it is built now, and let's run and see. So as soon as I decide to register with the same account, as you have an error as an alert here. So let's see. So register, and I'm going to use the same email. So first let me use the admin, and the password, I'm changing the password here. Register. Now let's see what happens. Okay, so you can see we have error occurred because you can't use the same email to register. Now if you try to change this to, let's say, let's use this, let's change this as manager, try again, you have the same thing. If you try this as user, the same thing. Okay, so one account can be used to register multiple accounts. Yes, you can do that in our application. Good. Now we have this. What is the next thing to do? So let's get all rows here. Now to get all rows, let's see what we can do. We want to use the register controller to get all rows. So there is a post method, and here we want to issue a get method. So http get, and you want to use public async task, and task, you know, controller, you have to pass in either action or action result, but this time around we want to get the scheme, so let's use the action result. And this, we want to get a list of what row model. So what is row model? We are yet to create that object. So, and the name is GetRoles. So you want to get all rows here, not the rows as ladies or women's name, rows, okay, not lily rows as well. Okay, so we are getting, there is a model that we want to get, and this model, first of all, this is what we want to do. So list, then we create also row model, then we create or we set this as row model, so equal to new. So that's the new way to initialize a list of an object. Then let's get all rows. So var all rows is equal to, so await, we can use UserManager dot. So here, sorry, not UserManager, because here we want to manage users, but this time around we want to manage rows. So do you have role manager here? No. So let's eject role manager. So I'm going to say that that is a role manager, and that is identity role, and that is role manager. Control and period, and I'll create an assigned field. Yeah, create an assigned field, so it has been initialized, and so we can use this role manager. So await, then role manager dot, that can get rows. So let's use to list. We want to put all of them to list async. We have all rows. Now let's loop through each of these rows. So var row in all rows. Yeah. So when looping through, let's create an immediate, okay, immediate single row model. So immediate row model. This row model, and there's the list is row models. So this row models. Okay. So var row model is equal to new, then row model. Okay. Now this row model, this is what we can do. So we can open this, and now in here we can say this row model, we need name. So name is equal to row dot name. Then this is not name of. So name is equal to row dot name. Now aside from name, we want to also grab ID. So this ID, so let's set as ID is also equal to row.id. So you want to also grab the ID of the row too. Now when we are done, then row models dot add. So you want to add row model. So we add a single to the list. That's what we are doing. Then at the end of the day, after looping, we want to return this row models, the list. So remember that with here we are receiving a list of row model. Okay, so you have to return it here. Now let's go in there and then create this row model. Now you can see that this row model object here is going to have two properties as indicated here. It is name and ID. By this ID, it is not an integer, because when we check the ASP.NET rows, you can see that the IDs that we see here, it is not. Let me close this here. What is the use rows? Okay, so the IDs that we see here, they are not integer. So we can use integer to assign them, rather string. So string ID and then string name. So let's go there and create this rows or this model. Oh, my mouse is moving up and down. Yeah. Okay. So Solution Explorer. Now we go to the shared project and we right click, and now not on the shared project necessary, but rather we need a folder that is known as model. So right click on these models, add a new model or class, and the name is going to be row model, right? So this row model, we need two properties in addition or under this row model class. First of all, let's set this as public, and also here let's type in prop, hit on the tab key. Now you have this. Now this is going to be string, and let's set this as ID. So this string is going to be nullable. The next one, so prop, let's set also this as string, nullable, and it's going to be name. Yes, this is an unused, so we can clear this off. Now we are done. Let's go back to go out. Let's go back to the auth service. Now in here, let's inject. Is it auth service? Rather the controller, register controller. You can see it has added here, so it is solved now. The next thing I want to do here is we want to get all users. Let's also get all users. So let me say this is get all rows in the application. Okay, now you know in our rows we have admin, we have what? We have manager, we have super user, and we have user. So we have 4 rows. So that is what this is going to do. Not super user. Whoa, fantabulous. So this is super. Okay, so the next one that I want to do here is we want to get all users. Okay, so we want to get all users. So these are the users that we have currently. So let's get all these users. So admin, manager, supervisor, and user. These are all users. So let's get them. So we're going to use also the same HTTP, and that is get. But this time around, we have to specify a route as users, and we need a public async task. You know, this is also going to return an action result, and it is a list of. Let's also create user model. So, and this is get users. So with this get users, we have to also create. We can also copy exact same thing here to just keep wasting time to type. Okay, so let's see now. But instead of this row model, this is going to be user model. So and here is user. So user model over here, and we create a new user model, and here must be user instead of row. Okay, so that's the user model here. Let's copy this, and this must be use here, and we have to add user model not row. So we create a list, then we create a single user model. So that's all. At the end of the day, we have to return this user models, the plural form. Now here there's an object, so user model, we create a list of user models over here. So that's it. You could say the same as the role model, just that here we are going to add the role model, but here it is user model. Okay. Or we can also use the same user model to do that, but in order not to use role model to get this, let's also create a user model. So let's add this new class, then user model. So this user model, this must be a public, and here prop, we also need ID, and this ID, this string, and this is ID. Okay, now we need also name, and that is string, and that is name. Let's clear all this, let's save it. When we go to the controller, you could say it is also solved now. Now the next thing that you want to do here is you want to assign roles. So let's assign roles. Now in order to assign roles, let's create user role model. So let's create one model in addition. Let's create 3 models. So one model. Now that is user role model. As soon as you hear user role model, it means that, or it looks like it's a combination of the user and role. If you are thinking so, you are right. Now let's set this as public. So we need string, okay, and that is a row ID. I hope you are getting the idea. And we need string also, and this is going to be row name. Also, now we are done with the row, so string, and we need user ID, and also one more, so that's also a string, and there is what user name. Good job. So we have this model. Now let's go to the register controller and try to get assigned roles. So here this is going to be an HTTP post. Remember that we have one post already here, so we can't be a post just like that, but rather we must specify a route in to make it different. And here we can say AssignRole. That is a route. Okay, so public, and that is an async task. It's an action result, and this action result you want to return a register result. Okay, so you want to return this result to user, and that is AssignRole. And this AssignRole, we want to come in with what? User role model. Yes, and we set this as model. Let's open it. So we can first check if model is not equal to now. That's why you want to perform this. If it is, then return bad request. Return bad request. So you can say object is empty. That is a bad request. But if it is not equal to null, meaning when it has data, that is what you want to do. So first of all, let's get user is equal to an await. Okay, then do we have SignInManager? So all rows or all users that have signed in here, we have it over here. So we can use this SignInManager, okay, to grab all the current users that have signed into our application or have registered. So let's use this SignInManager. Now this SignInManager contains also UserManager. So to get to the current users in, now we can get find by email async. Now let's pass in this model dot username. Now I know that the username is an email because when you check the registration, let's see, we set username, that's the registration. When you open this, when creating a new identity user, we set the username as email. So when you call that username, it means we are going for the email. Take note. Yeah, not took. Haha, it is take note, right? Okay, so let's move on. Now you can check navigability over here, and so we are going to say that if user is not also equal to now, if user is found, that is when you want to perform this. Else we can also if user is not found, okay, then this is what we want to do. We want to assign a role. So let's assign role. So let's click and await, then SignInManager. So SignInManager, you could say that from here we want to assign role. So under assign role, we are first getting the user. Okay, we are first getting the user from the UserManager. So if it is not found, we can also return this user not found. User is not found, so return this is not found, and we can say object is empty, so we can say user not found. Very simple. So user not found. Okay, now the next thing that you want to do here is, well, but with this too, we can also return, we can copy this or we can grab this, okay, and I return new. So new register results. New register results. Then you can set successful is equal to false. Then message is equal to then comma, you have message is equal to this. Okay, so let's grab this, and instead of passing in this not found, you can just return, let's pass this here and return user not found instead. So user not found. Okay, but in case user is found, then so first let's say get a specific user. Now when we get user, then get all rows. So get all rows associated to that specific user. So here we are going to get rows. So var user rows is equal to await. Now you have UserManager already. So UserManager, and that's underscore, I always forget. So UserManager dot get roles async. So this is plural. So get rows. Then you pass in this user. Okay, we're going to get all rows. Now we check if user rows dot count. So dot count is greater than 0. It means at least a row is found. Now if row is found, then we want to remove the row. So if row is found, then await SignInManager dot UserManager dot remove. Okay, let's remove row. Where is it? Remove row async. Remove rows, because if they are plural, if greater than 1 0, you want to remove this, and now you pass in this. It takes in IdentityUser. Then the second one is taking in what? Rows. So you pass in this user rows. Very simple. So this is going to remove all the rows from the table. Now that is a specific user. If the user is a user and you want to change to maybe manager, it's going to remove the user row first. Then we're going to assign the manager row. Okay. So what we remove, then we assign. So let's assign. So await SignInManager dot UserManager again dot add to row. So add to row, we're going to add only a single row, so we add this user to row, and this model coming in dot row name. So let's add this row name. So let's check the nullability here, and let's return this. So let's return okay. So as we are done with this, now the reason why I did not use this bracket here is you can see it is true or false. So if count is not greater than 0, then we are going to assign add to the row. It means there is no row associated to the user. But in case it is found, then we are going to remove all the rows straight, and now we move on to the else statement. Okay, or this is what we can do. So if it's greater than 0, then we want to remove. So let's cut this here and put it here. So remove the rows. Now after removing, come to the next level and assign. I believe this is clear. Now here return okay, and success here it is true. And now if you check the message, we can say row successfully assigned. Yeah, so that is it. That's all thing that you want to do. So we are done with our coding. Now let's go to the auth service and try to call this method. Okay, so we're going to call this method in the auth service, and that is a client service. So let's navigate to the interface first. You can see we have to access the interface, then with the implementation. So services auth service, and that is it. So here we need a task, and this task we need a list of so row model, and this list it is GetRoles. The next one it is task of list, and that is a user model, and that is GetUsers. And the next one is task, and here we need a register results, and with this it is AssignRole, and it is coming at user role model and as model. So 3 methods, right? Let's go for the implementation. So we go to the auth service. Now control and period. Let's implement the interfaces, and yeah, so we have implemented them here. Okay, so this is what we did in the previous video. So if you can check that to see how to generate token when the user logs in. But for now, we are out of this. We are not going to go through this anymore. We are done. I'll link the description to this video, the initial one to this, so you can just check here and now get knowledge about this. Okay, we are focusing on GetRoles, GetUsers, and AssignRoles. Okay, so what we can do here is with the GetRoles. So as you can see, GetRoles over here. Now let's try to use. So let's create a var result is equal to an await, and you can use the HTTP client dot. Now this is GetRoles, so we can use getAsync. So HTTP, that is underscore HTTP client dot getAsync. Now this getAsync, we pass in the route API, and the route here it is register. That's the controller name. Okay, and now this is post. So no, this is get. So with get, it's going to register, and that's all. So let's read this. So var response is equal to await results dot let's read content dot read. Okay, so read from JSON async. So read from JSON async, and now you pass in a list because you want to grab a list of row model. At the end of the day, let's return response. So we can grab this And inside GetUsers, it's the same thing, just that here let's change from role model, okay, to user model. Now this must be an async, and here it is the route, here it is users. Very simple thing. Now when it comes to the assign, you know, there is a post method. So with the post method, we want to grab, let's space it still, let's space this, and now in here this is post, so dot post. Okay, so here you want to use post as JSON async, and as an API register. And now here, remember that this is an assign-role, so that is a route. Then we need to pass in this model. Okay, here must be an async, and we read a response as list of. We don't have to get a list. It is we are returning a register model, so we can take off this, paste this, and this is coming with the only one. Yeah, return the response. So let's save this, Control K and D. We can now save this. Well, okay, so now we have this. Then we need to move on, and what we're going to do here is we are going to work on a page where we can get all this, can call all these services, and now set the response to the controller through this service that we have created. And that's the last thing that we are going to do. Okay, so we're going to finish soon, but we need to install a package over there. So let's see, now we create a page here, and we are going to name this page as manage. So let's use this fetch and let's use as manage users. So manage user dot razor. So we are renaming this fetch, and we can clear all what we see here. Let's clear them, and let's set the page, the route as, so manage dash user. Okay, so that is a route, and now here let's pass in this. Okay, so that is a route. Let's save this, and now let's install the NuGet package. So let's go to and right click on dependencies under the client project, manage NuGet packages. And now we need to install Syncfusion Dropdown, because that's what we want to use, drop-down list and teams. So we need to install these two packages. Alright, so we need to install Syncfusion components. So we need to install drop-downs first. Then, so that's the drop-down. Let's install this to the client project. Take note, when we are done, we need to install the themes. And that is what we're going to use to develop the drop down. Now we have to install themes too, so let's install themes. So install this, yeah, and that is it. So you can see we have installed both. Now when you go to, let's see what happens here. Okay, so installed. Now when you go to the Solution Explorer packages, you can see we have the drop down and have the themes here. Alright, so now we have this. We have to copy, or we have to link this, both the JavaScript file and the CSS, to this file. So let's navigate to shared project. So that's the www root, that's a static file, and the index. So we need to add them here. Alright, so now let's copy this. I have them here. So that is a script file and the CSS file as well. So I'll just link them here. Okay, so you have the Syncfusion .blazor.themes and the Bootstrap 5, and you can see here from here you have the script Syncfusion blazor.main.js. We save that. Now the next thing that we want to do here is we have to register Syncfusion component. Now one good thing about Syncfusion is you can go to their site, register, and get a free license. That's a community license, so you can just go there and register. We're going to do that in the that's a client project and program.cs file. So first we have to use, using Syncfusion Blazor. Then we can use builder.services add Syncfusion Blazor. Okay, now with the license key, I have one here, so this is mine, and I'm going to paste this here. So that's my license key. Okay, now so as you see from here, Syncfusion license provider register license, then you pass in your license key over here. Okay, so once you have this done, what we can do next here is to navigate to the home, that is a manage component or manage user component, and that's over here. So client project, and because you have manage user component. Now in here, this is what we want to do. So first of all, let's inject this. So let's inject this, that's the auth service. Then you say auth service. Now let's see if we have this available. So let's use this. So we have this, I've injected this auth service. Okay, now let's create our methods here. So at code, then let's create a list of user model, and that is known as users equal to new. Okay, then we have the same list of role model, and that is roles equal to new. Okay, now the next thing that we want to do here is let's use override method as a page cycle method, and we're going to use on initialize async. So here control plus period, let's inject shared project. Now in here we can say roles is equal to auth service, but we must first keep an await. So await keyword, then auth service dot, and that is GetRoles. Then users is equal to await auth service dot GetUsers. Now we have this. Okay, now here must be an async task. Okay, so this method is going to call the roles and the users that we have at hand. Alright, now let's create our div. So we have our div, and the class here we say role. Also we have our div, and the class here is known as column md4, and we can say offset. So we want to set offset to 4. So 8 plus 4, 12. Offset 4. Now in here we want to use a div. So let's create a message here. So string message is equal to string dot empty. Now let's use this message here. So on top here, where we have this column, you can decide to have a div class, and now in this class is going to be an alert. Let's say alert info, and you can pass in this message. Whoa, so that is a message. Now in the body you want to issue a div and a class, and the class here is going to be card, and you know with div you can have class again, and it's going to be card header. Now with the card header you want to specify on AssignRole, and we have div class and card body. So inside this card body, let's have an edit form. So edit form. Now inside this edit form, let's have data annotations. Then let's have one more, that is a validation summary. So in here, maybe we can have a style, and we can say list style is set to none. Now in here, let's create a model, and this model is equal to, let's use it as user role model. And on valid submit, we say handle AssignRole. Okay, so with this, let's create this method here. Now when the button is clicked, you want to set private async task, and that is a method, and we open it. Now this user model here is going to be, we call this user role model, and that is this equal to new. So that is also the model here. Now in this, the next thing that we want to do here is we put a div and a class. So this is an input group. So we're going to have two input groups. So let's copy this, and now let's make a copy here. Let's add one more. Now the last input group is going to be a button. So we're going to say button, and the class btn. Let's use primary, and in this we can have span class, that's an OI plus. Okay, so space. So we have this OI plus, and in here we can specify it as, let's bring a space here, so AssignRole. That's all. Okay, and the type of this button is submit. So type of this button is submit. So you're going to submit to this for edit form, to this row, and grab this row with the data here. So the first input group, you're going to use an SF button. So in here, I'm going to say SF drop down button. So SF drop down. So SF drop down. Let's use the list. So this list, this is what you want to do. So let's grab all this Syncfusion, and we can go to, so at using Syncfusion drop down list. Okay, so we can take out this. So you can see we have this drop down. So SF drop down. Now we have this. We can open this, and now with this drop down list, you have to specify T value. So T value here, you want to use a string because a drop down list as string. Then you have T item. T item is going to be user model. So that's a T item. Then let's have a placeholder and select user. That's a placeholder. Now data source. Data source is going to be this. That is the users. So that's it. Now in here we can specify, that's a drop down list field settings. So with this list field settings, the same T value. So with the, okay, so here we have to get the value first. Now the value here is the user ID. Okay, user ID, and the text here is going to be name, because when you check this user model, let's see, user model, do you have it here? Let's check with the shared project. User model, we have ID and name. So here supposed to be name, not ID only, so it's supposed to be name ID. So let's clear this user ID from it. Okay, that's an ID and the name. Now after specifying field settings, you can also specify, so that's the event, so drop down list event. Now this event t value here, that is a string. You know, the t value here is string, so this must also be string. And you have t item, so t item, that is also the user model. Okay, and we want to have value change. So when value change, you want to say on the value change user. So handle on value change user, that is the name that we are giving to this. Then we have a closing SF drop down list, and maybe here can have a validation message. So this validation message for it is who, so we open this and this, whereby a pointer maps to user model dot, so this user role model dot, so that's a user ID. Okay, but here we can use username, so username, then we can now close this validation summary. So let's create this method. Now down here we can say that when that button is clicked or when value change, we want to issue this, so we can have a public, a void, and we paste this on value change user. It comes in with a change, so change event ask. So this change event ask, we use this. Now change event ask, we can pass in a string, that is a t item, so that is a t value string, and the t item here, it is user model. So you have t item and t value. Okay, you can give it a name as ask. So we can open this, and this is what you want to do. So user role model dot user ID is equal to ask dot, we can get an item data from this dot ID, so dot ID. Okay, then the same thing, so user role model dot username, so username is equal to ask dot, let's get an item data, and we can have the name from this item data. So we are done with this. Now we can also copy this, so let's copy this as well, and let's paste this here. Instead of this user, it's going to be row, so change row. And now instead of user model, it's going to be row model. And here, instead of user, it's going to be row ID, and we're going to have row name. Okay, so row name, we have an ID and a name as well for the rows, because if you check here, in the item data dot, we have an ID and name, so that's what we are using to assign them here. Okay, now let's go there and copy this and paste it here, so we can grab this SF drop down list, and now inside this div input, we paste this here. Now instead of user model, we change it to row model, and let's copy this here, row model t item, t value is the same. And now on the check, this is select here, it selects row, and there is no more users, rather rows. Now on value user change, so on value change row. Yeah, and we are done with it. Okay, very simple thing that we are doing here. So this is what we are going to do when a method is called. When this button is clicked, you know, you're going to submit to this method. Now when that event is called here, you want to set message is equal to null first, then var result equal to, let's do an array keyword, that's an auth service dot, so AssignRole, then we pass in this user role model. So this is a user role model, we pass this here. Now this is going to return a status, that's a register result. So this result, we want to assign message of this result is equal to result dot message. Very simple thing. But before we set this, we want to check if that model is not null. Okay, so let's cut this, and now we want to say that if user role model is not equal to null, that is where we want to perform this. Okay, very simple thing that we want to do here. Okay, also let's go to the user role model here, and let's set the validation, let's set it as required. So required attribute, we set required attribute. So let's grab this and we paste it here, and here, save it. Now let's build the application and see. So right click on this, now build application, let's build and see. So we are almost, or is it almost, we are done. Yeah, we are done. Now let's see if we're going to be able to assign roles and to another user who have already registered to our application. Let's wait for it to be built. Alright, so you can see it is done now. Now let's run the application. So it is launching, so let's wait for it to launch. Okay, so let's see, it's over here. And now let's open this. So when you open application and go to the user, so users table, that is this one. We have user roles. So let's close all these. Okay, so this, let's open them again. So let's do close all tabs. Now SQL Server object. So let's see, it is loading. So when you come here, you can see we have home, counter, and fetch data. As you can see from here, now there is no fetch data here, so we're going to have an error, nothing found. Now you can see we have welcome. There's no admin, no super user, no user, no manager, etc. So we have registered already, isn't it? Now let's log in and see. So I'm going to log in the first one, and that's going to be the admin. And let's see what happens. So we have admin, and here is admin at admin. So 1, 2, 3. Now if I log in, let's see. So log in. Okay, so I am logged in now. Now you can see I have manage user here. Okay, so this manage user, you can see it is fetch data. So but the route here, it is wrong. I want to check, it is manage dash user. So let's see. Manage user. The route is manage user. Okay, so let's go to the Nav-Menu, and now where we have this manage user, let's change the reference to what? To manage dash user. Save this, and now let's wait for it to get refreshed. But while it's refreshing, let's go to this object. Let's open a database. Open the folder, And now the JWT demo role base, open this, open table, and now you want to open 3 tables. That is what we need most at this time. So let's wait for it to get refreshed to get all the tables. Then we are going to open first is rows. So right click on this and view data. Let's open user rows over here. So right click on this, view data. The last one is the users, so open this data as well. So we see we have these 4 users here. Now if you check their IDs, these are their various IDs, and these are the username. That's what we need. So these are the usernames. Okay, now if you check the rows, you can see we have a row ID, and you can see we have user ID too. Okay, so now if you check and the rows too, you can see we have these are the rows ID and these are the rows name. So I want to talk about admin. It is 26, and let's see which user has admin 26. So 26, admin 26. Do you have any? So that is, let's see, admin 26. Okay, so there's a row ID and there's a user ID. Now a row ID is 26 and it is by D6. Now 26 is only here, the rest is 0D, 0D, 0D. So 26, and that's an admin. Now D6 here, when you check the user table, D6 is an administrator. Now you want to add manager to manager, superuser to superuser, user to user. Okay, now let's see. So our page is now loaded. So click on manage user, and this is going to open for us with the drop down. Okay, so it is still not opening. Sorry, there's nothing found at this address. Manage user. Let's see. So manage user, the route here it is manage user, right? So let's cut all this, save. Now close this, and I'm gonna, so let's see. So manage user, delete that. Now let's create another page. So add result component. Now the name is going to be the same, manage user. So that's going to be the same name that we deleted. And that is manage user. So it's on the enter key. Now when it loads, we're going to paste what we copied. So highlight all, and now paste this, save that. Now the route here, it is what? Manage user. Now let's see the nav bar, and that is a manage dash user. That's the manage user. Okay, and here it's going to be viewed by the admin. Okay, so we can now save this, and now if we run here, let's wait for the refresh to be made. Okay, so it is reloading. So let's click on home, then manage user. Still nothing found. Let's see what the problem is. So counter, and we have a link as manage user. So let's see with the counter, and the manage user also the same. So manage dash user. Now let's, so manage dash user here. Nothing found here as well. Okay, then let's see. So if I make it only manage, let's save this. Now let's refresh and see. If not, then we have to create another component and set the name as the same manage user. Okay. Alright, so let's log out. Now if I go to manage user, okay, so there's manage, nothing found. Let's see the actual problem. So I'm going to log in, and that's going to be an admin, and that is an admin at 123. So log in. Okay, so welcome admin manager super user. Let's see. So let's go to a nav bar. Now if you check here, we have Authorized-View admin, Authorized-View user, and Authorized-View user, right? So you can see roles here is roles, we have admin, so admin user. Okay, so we can, alright, so let's see. Now if you check here, okay, so the row is admin, 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 admin. Now this row is admin, this row is manager. Now this row it's super user, and here it is user. Okay, now if you check here, manage user, it is manage. So let's see if manage is going to work. Let's save this. Now let's wait for the refresh to be done. Okay, so I could see there's still, this page is not found. Alright, so let's create another one and say let me ask manage. So manage.razor, and here let's paste this. Now the route here it is manage, not manager, it is manage. So save this. Let's go to the nav menu. Nav by now here it is manage, that's right. So let's wait for this refresh to be done and see what we can do now. So as soon as you log in as an admin, you can see we have here as welcome admin, right? Good. So we want to assign the roles. Okay, so manage. Okay, so we are here. That is manage. And this is what I want us to do. So let's set this to 12. Let's go to the manage user here. And instead of the, let's make it this as 6. Now here, offset is 3. And this alert, let's cut this. Let's put this on top of the card. Save that. So let's wait for the refresh to be done. It's going to expand this a little bit. Then you can see this clearly as well. So it is refreshing. And as you can see, we have user roles and select row and user, right? So let's see what we can do. Let's break here. Let's give a space from the select user and select rows. And aside from this, we can also break this. Okay, so instead of this breaking, what you can do here is you also set as empty 3, margin top 3, so empty 3, and it's going to separate itself. So instead of this break, we can set this empty top as 3. Now let's wait for the refresh to be done. So run this. Okay, so you can see we have nicely looked here. It is refreshing, so let's wait again. Okay, so first of all, when we sign in, let's see what happens here. Now this is what admin, so we're going to use this here to notify here's an admin. Now when we log out, and now when we sign in again, so admin, let's go for manager, and we say manager at 123. If we log in here, here's going to be user, okay, because you haven't assigned this. Now let's assign the manager to manager and see what happens here. So let's log this out. Let's log in as an admin. So log in as an admin, and there's a password. So admin at 123. Login, manage user. So select user here. We have, so this is a user, and we have this manager. No, now select role. So something is wrong. Let's see what happens here. So here is user, and that is a role. So user model, and here's the user model. We need select user, and you are grabbing what users. So let's see these users here. That's a list of user model, and we have the users here. So user equal to get all users from this angle. Okay, now let's say from this, the auth service here, we are going for, first of all, let's see the IOT service. Now get all list of user models. So that's over here. And when you go to the auth service, get users only, and let's see what happens. So that is the user model, get users, and now get API register users, and you're returning a list of user model. Okay, now let's see from the controller. So from the controller here, that's the server project controller. So let's close this. Now from this register controller, we want to grab users. So get roles, and now here users. So you create a list of user model, and that's the users here. So list of user model equal to new. Now we get all rows. So as you can see from there's a mistake here. So get users equal to all RoleManager dot. That's where the problem is. Okay, here we get the role manager, but here we need to get user manager. So we need user manager, so underscore user manager dot users, okay, dot tool list async, and that's what we need to do. So we save this, and now this name is equal to user. So here is going to be all users. So all users, then we are looping through this all users, and we say each user in all this user. So name is equal to user here. So user dot username, and ID is equal to user dot let's say ID, and that is this one. So we can maintain this. Okay, aside from that, we add this user model, then return this user model. So that's all. Now let's refresh this and see what happens. So instead of select user by getting the roles, you're going to have all the emails as their user names. So let's see. So for that, you have this admin, user, manager, and super user. But as soon as it refreshes, you're going to have their emails under the user drop down field. So let's run this and see if we have any error, then we rectify that. So bits are seeded, and now let's see. So it is refreshing. Okay, so select user. As soon as we click on that, you can see we have all the users here, and I can see we have all these rows. So you know, admin is only admin, and the rest are users. So let's set manager to manager. So this to manager. Click on assign role. Now let's wait and see. So role successfully what assigned. Okay, so now let's wait and see. Now let's log out and log in as manager and see. So here is admin. Now log it out, and now log in as manager and sign in as manager. So sign in here, and I can see you have welcome manager, right? So welcome manager. Okay, so let's log out also, and now let's log in as an admin and assign the super user to super user. Because for now, if you sign in super user, let's see what happens here. So super user at 123. Now super user is an admin, is a normal user now. Let's assign this super user to super user at role. So log out. Let's log in as an admin and sign in here. Admin at 123. Now let's manage user, set super user here to super user role. Assign role, log out. Now log in again, use super user here, password is super user. So password is super user at 123. Now you can see we are welcome super user. Okay, so that's now when we check the table here with the rows. Let's see. Now it was only D6, that's an admin, that had 2 the rest are 0D, 0D, that's the user column. Now let's refresh this and see what happens here. Now we see that only the 95 that the user has been assigned the user row. The rest is 81 and 5A. Let's see 81 and 5A under the rows column. So the rows table, 81 that's the manager, 5A is the super user. So we have actually assigned it. I believe this is very simple and isn't difficult to do it, right? So yeah. So that is it for this video. Let's try once more and see. So I'm going to sign in as an admin. Then the password is an admin at 123, and I can also assign. I'm going to assign any of these. Maybe if I want to assign this user to admin, it is also possible I can also assign this to admin. Now this user is no more a user, rather an admin. So let's see. So assign this, and if I try to open this, so let's open this somewhere, try to log in. So open this here. And now let's open it and try to log in here and see what happens. So there's an admin. Now log it out and now log in. So let's use, now if assign user as an admin, let's see what happens here. So password, because we have user at 123 and see welcome admin. So user has now been assigned as admin. So you can see it's just a button click to do that. And that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Yeah, I also enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. And I'm going to make a quick summary of this version of this video and put it under another description, so you can check on that. Those if you want to just skip everything and just get the ideas in it and how to implement it, you can just go through the quick review version, and it's going to help you a lot to know what you're going to do. It's going to explain all the key points in it, and that's all. By this started from scratch, although it's a build up, but I started from scratch. So you can just watch it if you have little idea on Blazor WebAssembly and how to create authentication or authorization in Blazor. Also how to assign roles. I also link the first video, that is the authentication and authorization. I'll link it at the description so you can check it out. The source code also be available there, so you can just go in there, click on the button to the GitHub, and I'll grab it. If you like what I'm doing, just give me a thumbs up and comment, like, and share. If you have any issue too, let us know. Maybe you can suggest the next project that we can do, then we do it together. Thank you for being part of this family, and I'm going to catch you in the next video.